Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of Live Cartooning Lessons with Dan Lietha. My name is Dan Lietha, and today we're gonna do some funny. How's your week been? My week has been interesting, so I need some funny in my life. And the thing about funny is that God is the one that created humor, right? And so we're going to acknowledge that today. We're going to apply some of that humor that God has given to us to some of his creations. And I think this will be a fun drawing exercise. So at the beginning of this drawing exercise, I'd like to invite you to make comments. And see if I can get there we go. My page to fit on the screen here so I can draw right. We're going to draw some funny animals. At least I think they're funny. And if this turns out to be a good, fun feature, maybe we'll do this on a every once in a while type of basis. The first animal that we're going to draw is a water buffalo. And right now you're probably thinking of a funny song related to the water buffalo. And the water buffalo, I don't think is generally a funny animal, but I think this picture of this water buffalo is kind of funny because of the way that it has its mouth. It's chewing and it's got its bottom jaw just kind of out of alignment a little bit as it's making its chewing cycle. So let's see. One of the things that we're going to start out doing here is to trace over the top of this buffalo, analyze the shapes that we're going to be working with. And we've got the head shape here, that's kind of a basic breakdown of it right there. And then as I'm drawing on the shape here, the head, I want you to think about what would I caricature, what would I exaggerate on this particular animal to make it look funnier. All right, so and then we got the ears down here, which is interesting. And then these big horns that cover the whole top of the head. They kind of fit on their head like a hat almost, and then just come right down. So we've got that big shape. And that's actually what I'm going to pick to exaggerate, or one of the things anyway. So let me change my color of my pen here. I want to draw in blue, so I want to do my sketching in blue. So let's see, we're gonna. All right, so let's start out with that head shape. Like that. And then these eyes are also something that I happen to think is really funny as well. So they're kind of really far apart, like way over on the opposite sides of the head, which to me that looks funny. And then you've got the head that's kind of got that crease down the middle. All right. And then the nose shape goes in right about here. We'll block that in right there. The nostrils kind of basically go there. And then, you know what? Some of my sketching is getting in the way of there a little bit. Let me lighten it up a bit. So I need to see some of those details. There we go. Get that out of the way. All right. So the upper lip is kind of going like that, but then see the mouth, and then the bottom jaw is kind of like going way over. And I think that looks funny. All right, so we've got that palette problem again. All right, we've got some people saying hi. Kenny Lee, hello. Oh, is it? Elsie. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but hello. I'm so glad that you chimed in. All right, so we've got the tongue is showing up a little bit here. And then this guy has kind of this almost angry look on his face, but I want to make him look kind of bored. He's just chewing along. Although he lives in Africa, so maybe he'd have more of an African accent. I'm not good at that accent. They're very fun to listen to. But all right, so then the ears kind of come down almost where below the eye. It goes out like this. And look at the shape of that ear. It's just really odd. Okay. And then the hard part is that I think I'm going to have to shrink that down a little bit because I want to fit in those horns. So we'll reduce that down a bit. And then just exaggerate those big water buffalo horns. That's probably a little bit too much. Let me change that. Okay. Let's go back to what I used, how I instruct to do my drawings. Usually what I do is I draw a line to get the general feel for something. There we go. Instead of trying to draw that shape just like I wanted it, let's draw a line that kind of gives us the feel for where it goes. And then we can draw in. That's better. See, that's that instruction that I do to help young artists. Some of that's basic stuff that even us professional artists use. So it's not all just simplified just for kids to use. All right, so then I'll ink that real quick, and then we'll move on to our next funny animal. And then we're gonna back that off just a little bit. And we'll change my marker, my pen color to black. And I'm gonna do a thicker line today, I think. Get some exaggeration here. Make sure I get on a proper layer. All right, so start out with these eyes. Again, I'm going a little more cartoony, I think, than usual here, but there's our bored water buffalo. Put in his eyes. Again, I like to leave a little spot of reflection of light in there. Helps give the character some life. All right. And then that nose. Noses are also really good, not only on people for caricature quality, but also on animals. They're just a very prominent feature that lends itself to exaggeration a lot of times. All right, here's the part where that mouth is just swinging over, and that chin looks like it's right about there. I love that. That's. I was looking through some photos. These are all copyright-free photos, by the way. You can find them online. Pixabay is one site that I look at for copyright photos, and then or copyright-free photos. And then the other side is called, I think it's Unsplash. So kids, go through those with your parents, but if you want to find copyright-free photos for whatever the reason, I can use them online in this way because I don't have to pay anyone for them or gain permission, and I'm not, stealing from anybody by doing this on a live broadcast that benefits Reasons for Hope, the ministry that I work for. And so that's a very useful thing that someone provides those photos for purposes like this. All right, his ears got some little hairs and things in there. Now that the top of the horns kind of start like right about here, and then the top right there, the top of the horns, not the top of the head where the horns are resting, kind of like that. You'll notice I'm trying to give some line variation too, because that gives some life to the image. And that's something that young artists, I think, should practice, is thick and thin lines on their characters. And I tried it as a general guide. You kind of think, well, where do you make the line thick and where do you make the line thin? And I try to make it thicker where there would be more shadow. So under an object like this, the line would be thicker, and then where the light would be hitting that on that side, that would be a lighter line or a thinner line. So there's our buffalo face. That's our warm-up funny guy. All right, that little jaw's moving there. All right, so let's move on to a funnier animal, and we're gonna go from a water buffalo to a giraffe. Now, this isn't a particular funny picture of a giraffe, but I love the shape of the giraffe's head. And just to save time, I'm not going to trace on this guy. I'm just going to start my sketch and make the observations. What shape do you think that the giraffe's head is? What do you see a shape there that kind of stands out to you? I do. And it's a triangle. And I also love the eyes on giraffes because they stick way out on the side of their head. So they got this cool triangle thing going on. And then I love the way that the nose, the end of the triangle goes way down. And then you've got this like little kind of boop section that's the mouth or the muzzle part of, I think you would call it. So they're just very funny looking. They got a great shape to them. And they got these really funny, kind of sad eyes too. So we'll draw this caricature of a giraffe. Maybe give it like a little smile. Now this would be an animal here. I could have done the same thing in the water buffalo too. That there's so much neat detail and wrinkles and shapes and all kinds of stuff. I'd love to spend a lot of time just kind of working that out. And sometimes cartoons are simple, and sometimes they're more detailed. And I guess it's just kind of whatever mood you're in sometimes, or it depends on the particular job that you're doing. So we'll make that neck. We'll make that neck really skinny to get that contrast between the head shape and the neck. All right, so then you've got the ear on one side poking out, and then we've got this other ear here. Again, just kind of break things down into the basic shapes that they are. If you get caught up into like trying to draw every little thing about them, sometimes things can get kind of confusing. So just look for those basic shapes and go with those. All right, so we're gonna have to reduce this guy too, just because of space. And then those giraffe horns up on top are also kind of fun. Now, like I did with the water buffalo, I'm going to draw a couple lines, help me get the feel for where those go, and then we'll build on those lines. And sometimes when you see cartoons of giraffes, they've got like these little, they almost look like a short little antennas with these little bug ends on them type of thing. And that's, you look at the photo, that's what they're kind of trying to imitate there or exaggerate a little bit. This guy's going to kind of be looking at us. Usually you don't see the whites of the eyes of animals too much, but I'll just sketch that in. So he's kind of looking at us. And something else about giraffes too is interesting is they have these neat eyelashes. So, and for speed purposes today, I'm not going to get too much into the pattern of the giraffe, which is also very cool. But so let's ink our giraffe here and see how it looks with the inks. Again, we're going to knock back the blue pencil. That's my pencil sketch. And then we're going to ink over the top of the blue line on a different layer. This is a really fun exercise. Try to stay loose drawing things. Sometimes it's easy to kind of tighten up, and it's good to make faster, looser strokes sometimes. And I know a lot of times when I do drawings that I end up not liking at all, it's because I'm just too tight and not having fun. So I gotta stop and think, okay, make this fun. The best drawings that I've done, that at least the most satisfying from an art point of view that I've done, are the ones where you're having fun, you're just fast and loose, and just kind of feeling it. Artists, I guess, get kind of credited for being touchy-feely people, and creative stuff is kind of like that sometimes. So, all right, we'll do that one eye. Usually I like inking the pupils in the eyes as a set, so you can kind of get them lined up, but I want to trust that I'll get this right here. So get that line that comes down like that. And then so I'm just kind of jumping around here to different parts. Just whatever grabs my eye. Trying to stay loose here. All right. Love that giraffe muzzle, nose, lips area. They're just so funny. Another funny thing about the giraffe too is that they have a tongue that's long. I mean, think about the giraffe neck and how long they are. Their tongue kind of is the same way, with these super long tongues. So they're just kind of funny, lanky animals, even to draw their bodies, because they're so long and lanky. They're just fun. So draw that, come down, and then there's the little giraffe mane. I'd love to stop and do a version of this that would take the whole half hour just on this. But again, I'm trying to get through a number of different animals. So Oh, let's really quick draw in the pattern. The thing about doing the pattern too is drawing it in such a way that it looks like it fits over the shape of the face. So watch the different shapes that you're drawing and pretend that that's a 3D image and you're drawing over the top of something that actually has form. Because if you draw everything straight, the face would just flatten right out. So I'm trying to draw along the curves of the giraffe. See how that works? So, and then same for the neck. I couldn't, here I'll draw what I'm saying. If I just draw, something flat that's like that, then, I mean, you get the shapes in there, but it just flattens the shape of the animal right out. So try to look at how the lines are on the picture, and then you don't have to copy it exactly, but make it look like it's got some form to it. And there you go. So there's our, well, continue up there. The last animal that we have for the day. I'll have to go really fast on that one, but it's just a naturally funny animal. The giraffe and the water buffalo, there have been funny aspects of the photographs that, well, I think that turned out pretty well. I like it. All right. We've got some questions too. Great. Let's see. Well, it's coming alive bit by bit. Kenny says, thank you. Elsie, that's that how you say your name? For sure. Okay. What kind of drawing tablet do I use? I use a Wacom Cintiq. So it's a graphics tablet that has a monitor built into it. And it's fantastic to draw on. They're super expensive too. So mostly professional artists use them. But if you have an iPad that has a stylus on it, you can do a lot the same thing on an iPad. There he is, our funny animal for the day, a little pug. And God made these little things. Well, they're mutants from the original dog kind, and so they've got their nose kind of shoved back into their skull. But they're still God's creatures. They weren't created by anybody else. They may be influenced and affected by the fall, maybe more than most. But for some reason that the curse, the fall that we all suffer under, and has changed things from the way that they were originally. Some of these things ended up being kind of funny, and the pug is certainly one of them. So it has a very blocky head. So very triangle, and then that the eyes are kind of like that. So you draw in the basic shape and then kind of find some of the other shapes inside there. And then they've got these big Google eyes. And then they've got that nose that's kind of right there in between them. I grew up with a mutant dog in our house when I was a kid, but it wasn't a pug. It was a dachshund. And I love those dogs, those long little wiener dogs. They're funny. So I've never drawn a pug before, so this is my first shot at it, at least that I can recall. So this isn't practiced. So I hope I get this right and make it funny looking. I think even if I just drew more of a portrait than a caricature, it still would be funny because it's a pug. All right, and then right there. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the pronunciation. You guys are doing great today. Usually I don't get anyone to kind of chime in. So I like the interaction. And then maybe our pug. Well, you know what? I was going to draw him looking that way, but I look at the picture and he's got that one eye going one way, one eye going the other way. And so I'll do that. Kind of reminds me of a Hollywood movie star from years gone by. And if you're old enough to know who this is, you've probably come up with the name in your mind before I even have to say it. His name was Marty Feldman, and he had eyes just like a pug. And I mean, I would imagine he probably suffered a bit because of that growing up in life, but he made a lot of money off of it later on, being a movie star. All right, so let's knock that back a little bit, and we'll ink on those. And then I like this as a feature for drawing. So you guys can let me know if you like it or not, but I think I might return to this every so often just to put up some animals that people like and to have some fun drawing them. And again, God is the one that is the author of humor. I did a talk once. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. I did a talk once at a church on humor. And when the pastor heard that I had selected that topic as something to talk about in a church service on a Sunday, he was like, okay. So he didn't really see the relevance of it. But when I started into my talk, he was like, oh, okay, because humor is something that I explored. Where did it come from? A lot of people in the church, when they see cartoons and things like that, they think, oh, that's bad. And so they get kind of grouchy and they reject it right away because they think, well, the Bible's serious and we shouldn't be funny. Well, if you think about it, where did humor come from? God. And so I posed the question to the audience. I said, did God create humor? And it's kind of a trick question in a way, because I told the audience that the answer was no. And do you have any idea why I'm a creationist, biblical creationist, and I believe that God is the creator. But why would I tell people that God didn't create humor? You're sitting there thinking about that? I hope you are. Because like God created dogs, God created cats and trees and clouds and all that stuff that we see in our creation. Those are things. Did God create love? Well, love comes from God, but I don't think it was created in the way that trees and dogs and cats and things were. I think that that love is a reflection of a quality of God that He's given us the ability to have and to do, and we see God's love towards us and read about it and know what that is because He's given us that capacity. And that's part of God. God is the author of love. Love comes from God. So in a sense, it wasn't created. It was part of God. And I think the same of humor too. I think that God gave us the capacity for humor. It wasn't something that He just kind of came up with. That's an aspect of God. Not a created thing as we think of creation things. So that's my take on humor. And I think that, of course, in a fallen world, it's something that we can misuse. And And so we need to watch ourselves as Christians, especially because it's an area that can kind of be dangerous because we'll let our guard down because something's funny, and we'll say things that we shouldn't and get into topics that we shouldn't because, well, hey, it's funny. Come on, loosen up. It's funny. But then that's a red flag, warning, warning, review scripture, see what God says about, things we shouldn't be talking about. So I think that the topic of humor is a very useful subject matter to study and to look at and to think about and have a biblical foundation for it. So maybe sometime I could come to your church and do a talk on humor and think about it from a cartoonist point of view. Everyone always thinks, hey, Dan, your job as a cartoonist must be fun, must be funny all the time. Well, there's certainly humor involved in it, and humor is a tool that I use at times, but not all the time. So there's our little guy. All right, let me take the sketch away. There we go. So again, just a fun, quick sketch, cartoon. That one's probably not caricatured so much. That dog all by itself is a bit of a caricature, but it's super fun to draw. And I had fun doing this today. I needed some humor in my life, and so it's just, like I said, the way things have been going. There's been some heavy things, but God is good all the time, no matter what we go through. And I hope that this has been encouraging to you. And give me some suggestions for maybe some live sessions down the road. You want to see me draw this or that, or instruct on this or that, or talk about a particular topic. Thank you so much for the questions you asked me today. Let me just kind of review some of these things here as I see them before we take off here. God is humor. Well, no, God is many things. Humor comes from God. People often say, well, God is love. That's okay, but he's much more than that. And even the love that is expressed from God isn't this, gushy, just lovey-dovey type of thing. Sometimes hard things happen because of love, discipline, and some of those harsher things, but that's still love. So all these qualities that we see, we just have like a little taste of what God is from some of the things that we have around us. And so when we get to heaven and we see God and we're with him, we'll spend eternity continually learning and never-ending learning about who God is. So, all right, thank you for your time. The drawings are great. Well, thank you for your encouragement. Kenny Lee, thank you. It was fun. Maybe and axolotl. I'll have to look that one up. I'm an animal guy. I'm kind of surprised that I'm not recognizing that, but maybe once I see it, I'll go, oh yeah, okay. So anyway, this has been Dan Lietha for Reasons for Hope. Be sure to check us out on the, let's see, we've got the Reasons for Hope Facebook page, and some of my cartoons are on the Facebook page, Truth Jabs. And then I've got another drawing feature called Draw It and Know It that's on YouTube. So check those things out, and we'd be so happy for you to join our ministry and participating in some of the things that we post and that sort of stuff. And please share it with your friends. We'd love for these things to get out there. These days the big tech is censoring and slowing things down, and so you guys that are hearing my voice right now, you can help go against that and share and get these out to your friends and families. So that would be very much a blessing to our ministry. So again, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Thank you for joining me today.